we're going to start with Sam in Pine Island, Minnesota.
All right.
Sam, are you there?
Yeah.
Hi.
Is this Russell?
This is Russell. What's up?
So I want to know, like, why, if you have, like, a good reason to not believe in a God, or is it just that you don't have evidence?
Well, I mean, generally not having evidence is a good reason not to believe in something. I mean, it's the same reason that we don't believe in UFOs or unicorns or fairies. It's not that there couldn't be those things. It's just that in order to start believing in something, you generally need good evidence.
Okay, I would agree with that, but so then how would you assume everything came into existence?
I wouldn't assume everything came into existence. I start by observing that things in fact exist, and then we start investigating exactly where the evidence leads. I mean, there's no need to prove the fact that stuff exists, right?
Correct.
Right. So, I mean, if you're trying to test a hypothesis like, well, there is an infinitely powerful being in another dimension who speaks words and makes these things appear, then you would try to come up with, like, observations that could support that. And if you don't find that sort of thing, then you would abandon that hypothesis and look for something else. So, I mean, is this God idea testable is one question.
Well, it is, in the sense that if I'm a Bible-believing Christian, right. Jesus rising, all that, I would believe there's evidence for that.
Okay.
Even though you can't see that it happened, there's still that evidence, I think.
Such as?
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's really accurate. I mean, everything it says is accurate, at least as what we found in science thus far.
Such as?
What's accurate, and what do you think supports your claim?
Like, I think in Isaiah, that's Old Testament, there's a verse describing just a simple thing, how the earth is round. And that, before that wasn't generally thought. They thought it was flat.
Okay, look, anybody who stood on a high mountain could easily observe that the earth had a circular shape.
Right. Okay. I mean, nobody would ever say that every single sentence in the Bible is false. And by the way, there are other verses people point to as indications that they didn't know the earth was spherical. But but regardless of that, it could say right there the earth is a sphere, and that wouldn't be any evidence for God. It would just be evidence that they got something right.
I just think it's evidence that shows it's accurate, though. And there's many more.
No, but what Russell is saying is, even if they got the one thing accurate, it doesn't mean that everything else in there is accurate.
Well, there's a lot of things in there that are accurate, and you find a lot of things that are accurate.
So far, you haven't said anything that blows my socks off. Is there something about God that can be pointed to as definitely accurate?
Well, before Jesus got arrested, it described him as sweating blood. That's an actual medical term, disease type thing that's happened today. So the people who sweat blood today as a medical term are it's rare, but it actually, and I think that's just one example of many that shows it can be accurate.
Okay, even if that claim were true, how does that prove anything about the divinity of Jesus or any of the truth of any of the other things?
It just shows that the scriptures itself are accurate. If you can
it actually doesn't.
It shows that the scriptures contain at least some accurate sentences.
Okay.
It doesn't show that the scriptures as a whole are accurate.
Or that it contains a claim that could be plausible if you could demonstrate that, first of all, Jesus was an historical person and he had this medical condition that you claim causes people to sweat blood. And you haven't demonstrated either of those.
Right. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy also contains sentences which are accurate. But, I mean, there are some things about space, it says, that are not completely silly. But that doesn't mean that any of the other stuff happened.
But then how do you explain, like, archaeological discoveries they found about the Bible that also show accuracy?
Such as?
Such as?
and Solomon, he had many chariots and stuff, and he had a metal refinery manufacturing, and they've discovered that. They've excavated that.
I'm not really familiar with that one.
Yeah,
Are you?
I'm a little skeptical of that. But even if they did discover that somebody, during the time when Solomon was supposedly, the king or whatever,
Yeah.
even if they had evidence that he had a metal refinery, that doesn't demonstrate that there's anything supernatural going on.
Yeah,
here.
I mean,
lots
was it
of people
a
had metal
magic
refineries.
What about this suggests that there's a God?
Well, I can do that. I can do that too. I mean, how do you explain the such? Because if you were to say that a God didn't make the universe, you would have to argue that there wouldn't be design as good a design as there is.
What makes you think there's a good design?
Good design? Oh, it has to be designed just perfect for life. I mean,
not really. I mean,
okay.
The thing is, and I see here it mentions that you doubt evolution, but I mean, the thing is that when most scientists have come through and looked at where the evidence leads, they point out that life tends to adapt to whatever environment it's in. And, there's a lot of empty space in the universe that doesn't actually have any life in it. But the life that we have here tends to be, suited to the place that it's in. And that's not because the place was specially designed to have life in it. It's because, it's because life that didn't adapt to where it's at died. So, I mean, none of that still is magical.
Wait. Okay, you're saying that the reason the things are the way they are is because we just adapted to living on Earth.
Exactly.
But then how come it's the only planet that has life and no other planets adapted anything else to it?
We don't know that.
We don't know that it's the only planet.
As far as we know. As far as we know.
All that means is life is rare. Which means that the universe is hardly...
somewhere.
Okay, well look, what that means is that the universe is hardly a perfect place for life to evolve.
It was only meant for life here.
How do you know this?
If you go biblically, I believe that's true.
Yeah, but why would you go biblically to begin with? There's no reason to believe that the biblical idea about a 6-day creation and all this other stuff that they say is in any way something other than the scribblings of a bunch of Bronze Age shepherds.
Okay, if you look at the Bible, the Earth is about 6,000 years old. If you look at evolution, it's billions, but it's not billions.
Why not?
Why not?
Well, I could give you. I think I can give you fair evidence.
Yeah, I mean, you can give me something some creationists said, but not people who have actually done a detailed study of the science and made theories and tested them. It's
not about who it comes from. It's about the information in general.
Well, I agree with that, but the point is...
Can I just give a few things that I think it shows that it's about 6,000 years old?
Okay.
Okay.
I have here the index to creationist claims. Let me see if you've got one that isn't on here.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'll just start with a few.
Okay.
Okay, if you were to believe that the Earth is billions of years old, like evolution says, and that humans started millions of years ago, according to the increased rates of population, you would have 150,000 people on the Earth per square inch.
Okay.
That's true.
No, it isn't.
It isn't?
So Noah's flood had like 8 people surviving,
and
right?
If you add...
Okay, do you know when the pyramids were supposedly built?
What's that?
Do you know when the pyramids were supposedly built according to Bishop Ussher's chronology?
Oh, well, they were the old kingdom of Egypt. They were probably, I don't know, maybe 2000 BC.
They were built about 100 years after Noah's flood was supposed to have happened. So that means that 8 people were supposedly going to have generated enough people to populate Egypt that there were all these slaves to build the pyramids. Those 8 guys must have been pretty busy, right?